Okay, today we're going to look at another example of how we can use trigonometry to figure out a Pythagorean trigonometry question. Here's an example where they're using something with a surd. So you start off here, and they say that the cosine of some angle is equal to little p over root 5. But they say p is less than 0. P is a negative number. They say the angle beta is somewhere between 180 degrees, there's 180 degrees on this side, and 360 degrees here. So it's either in the third or the fourth quadrant. But they said p was less than 0. So that means that p is a negative number. That means cosine is negative. Well, if we can go back here and we've got this all stations to Cape Town thing, we know that cosine is negative in the second and the third quadrant. Well, the only place where both of where cosine is negative and it's between 180 and 360 is this third quadrant. So what you do is you draw a triangle in the third quadrant. The reference angle would be right there. Beta actually goes, counterclockwise all the way around and stops there. It's some angle between 100 and 270, we know. Okay, what do we know here? What do we know? We know that the hypotenuse, because cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, p is a negative number, so we just write here it's negative something, and there's the hypotenuse. We can just write it in. Actually, the first step is just figuring out where it is. The second step, we write in p on the adjacent side, because cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and we write root 5 on the hypotenuse side. Okay, now we've got this picture is starting to develop here. Only problem is we don't know this side here. It's some negative number, we know, because we're going down, but we don't know what it is. So what you do is you use Pythagoras. And Pythagoras, to find a short side, you should know that what you do is you square the other two sides. You square the other two sides, the hypotenuse, and the other short side, you square, you subtract, and you take the square root. So that's what you do. You go c squared minus a squared. So we go root 5 squared, which is 5, minus this p squared. Those are so the hypotenuse minus the short side squared, and then you take the square root to get what that other short side is. We know it's a negative number, so it should be negative root 5 minus p squared. So to get b, we square root the hypotenuse squared minus the other short side squared. So that's how we got this opposite side, minus root 5 minus p squared. And we write by Pythagoras because we use it. Now we have the whole picture. We can figure out also any trig function, any trig ratio here. And the question is, figure out what is the tangent. Well, it's opposite over adjacent. So it's minus root 5 minus p squared. That's the opposite side over the adjacent side, which is p. And back here, they're saying determine the expression in terms of p. We don't know what it is as numbers, but we've got everything in terms of p. The opposite side we've got, the adjacent side in terms of p, and we've got the tangent in terms of p. And that's a little more tricky question of how you do it. Okay, hope this helps. I hope it helps.